Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about Daniel's 70th week. Now, there are good arguments for a premillennial view in Daniel. There are also good arguments for an amillennial view in Daniel. This video will discuss Daniel's 70th week primarily from a post-tribulation premillennial view, as I tend to agree with the post-tribulation view. I suspect that most Christians are in agreement about the first 69 weeks, so this video will focus on the 70th week. To be clear, I'm not willing to call opposing views of Daniel as heretical. There was a good deal of debate about these passages in the early church. It should be noted that the majority of the early Christians saw Daniel's 70th week as being fulfilled in their time, which is the amillennial view. Irenaeus and Hippolytus, who was a disciple of Irenaeus, are the only two exceptions, to my knowledge. They both saw some form of future fulfillment in Daniel's 70th week. Now, some might make the leap that because they believed in a future fulfillment of Daniel's 70th week, that they might believe in a pre-tribulation rapture also. But that's simply incorrect. For example, Hippolytus stated, "Now concerning the tribulation of the persecution which is to fall upon the church from the adversary, that refers to the 1,260 days, the half of the week, during which the tyrant is to reign and persecute the church." So clearly Hippolytus thought that the church would be in the tribulation. My personal view is that the first half of Daniel's 70 weeks has been fulfilled and that there is a gap between the first half and the second half of the week. At the same time, I recognize the validity of the amillennial view. I do not think that all of Daniel's 70th week is still in the future, though there have been some thoughtful Christians that have made the argument. The verses relating to Daniel's 70th week prophecy is found in Daniel 9. The 70th week starts in Daniel 9:26, and it states, "And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself, and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end thereof shall be with a flood, and until the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate." So, in other words, during the 70th week, that is, after the 69th week, the Messiah is cut off. It's been suggested that the people of the prince who shall come is a reference to the Antichrist, and that's a fair argument. But notice that it's talking about the destruction of the city of Jerusalem and the temple, which occurred in 70 AD. I think most Christians are in agreement on this. Where the majority of the disagreement comes from is from verse 27. Some think that verse 27 is referring to the Antichrist. Question: if the first 69 weeks are talking about the events that lead to the Messiah coming to earth, why would the 70th week be talking about the Antichrist? Wouldn't it make more sense that the 70th week is talking about the work of the Messiah while on earth? Didn't Jesus confirm a covenant with many? Well, he certainly did. He confirmed the new covenant of grace. Notice it doesn't say that the covenant ends at the end of the week. It simply says that it takes a week to confirm the covenant. In other words, the covenant is still in effect after the week is over. Didn't Jesus cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease? Well, of course he did. By his death on the cross and his blood covering us, we don't perform sacrifices and oblations. Well, what about the next part? For the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Now that's some fancy language, but here's what it means. In order for evil to flourish, he shall make the temple desolate, even until the end of the age, the consummation, when God punishes the sinners. In every single way, Jesus fulfilled these verses. But here's the thing. Jesus was cut off in the midst of the week, which means that there is still half a week left. It's fair to argue that there's a gap between the first half of the week and the second half of the week. And some would even say that Jesus is still confirming the covenant since the week hasn't ended yet. In Against Heresies, Irenaeus stated, and then he, Daniel, points out at the time that his Antichrist tyranny shall last, during which the saints shall be put to flight, they who offer a pure sacrifice unto God. And in the midst of the week, he says, the sacrifice and libation shall be taken away, and the abomination of desolation shall be brought into the temple. Even into the consummation of the time shall the desolation be complete. Now, 3.5 years constitutes this half week. So, in Irenaeus' view, the reign of the Antichrist is 3.5 years, which coincides with the last half of Daniel's 70th week. This is the same position that I take. Thanks for your time, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe.